Okay, we're well underway now. We've been going for just over 5 hours. The wind is not as strong as forecast, sods law, but we are at least able to sail today. So we're on a reach at the moment, and I'm having a good monitor of ground speed, SOG, because the winds aren't as strong as they're advertised, and so we're not making as much progress as we ought. So let's just have a look at my Howgozit and see how I'm using it on the day. So down here in the log on the left hand side, next to all my planning data, in my terrible scribble, I have a list of times of the day alongside how many miles we should have as distance to go estimated. So that gives me a really good estimate based on arriving at the time we expected to, which is around about 8 o'clock. Now that leaves me 2 hours, 2.5 hours before the first bridge. So I don't mind if I'm 10 or even 12 miles down, but if I get close to those numbers, then I have to do something about it and maintain the SOG that I'm expected to maintain in order to get there. So here we are. As you can see down the right hand side here, I'm writing down the total distance to go, and then in the text I'm just putting distance to go and how I'm doing on plan. So as you can see at the moment, I'm 1.6 up, which means we've got 1.6 more to go than we should have. That's such a small amount, I don't even need to think about it, but I do need to monitor my speed over the ground, because right now it's down at 4 because we're in a lull in the wind. At this hour I need to be making 5.4, so I've got about a knot to gain. I'm not going to worry about that now, as I say, because that's just 1.4 miles in the next hour. I've got plenty of scope for it to pick up later, for the wind to turn, to die down later than planned, or for it to get stronger. So I'm only going to make an action to correct this if we get sort of 10 miles behind, maybe 7, 8, I start to think about it. And what can I do? Well, that's the reason I'm not doing anything yet, is because really all I can do is help with the engine. But the way the weather forecast is playing at the moment, it could all change, and we could find that actually we're belting along like we were an hour ago, and all is well. So the first few hours we steamed along. Right now it's just in a lull, but doing nothing, just keeping an eye. Well, it's 20 past 6 or so in the evening. We are just coming up on a waypoint which we've put to give us good separation from 3 gas rigs, which we've got to avoid. And the wind has more or less held up most of the day. We've motored for some of it for the first hour or so to get up through a channel where the wind was right on the nose. And then for most of the rest of the day we've sailed. We had a couple of hours where we had to motor sail because the wind died away. And I'm expecting it to die away overnight, and it may be that we have to motor sail for some of it overnight too. But the big problem today has been the swell. So although we've been sailing along well enough, the swell has taken a lot of energy off the boat, and as a result we're about 6 miles down on our Howgozit, which means that we would be about an hour and a bit late into Whitby, which is fine because we were going to be 2.5 hours early anyway. So right now we're doing nothing about it, and when we get to the point where we have to motor sail, I will just stop the rot and make sure we don't end up any later. My target is going to be to arrive at Whitby for the first bridge, which is the 10:30 or 10:30 something. It is 10:30, and then the idea being that that gives me 4-hour window for delays and problems, and still be able to get in on the bridge within a reasonable delay. So the Howgozit is working, but it's being a bit disappointing in that we're not keeping up with it. I think in hindsight, bearing in mind I've had the forecast, what I should have done was adjust my speed down to allow for the impact of the swell. So live and learn. You don't get it right first go. I'm sure people who do this all the time will think what a numpty I am, but that's just something I've not regularly had to do. So we learn as we go, don't we?